This is episode 193 of Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing with my guest, Michael Blanc. Michael is an entrepreneur, investor, teacher, one of the leading authorities on apartment building investing in the US. His company controls, it's always more than this when I look on the website, more than 300 million in performing multifamily assets. He has helped students purchase over 14,000 units. He's also the author of the best-selling book and host of the podcast, Financial Freedom with Real Estate Investing. Michael, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Great to be here.
Yeah, I'm very excited to have you. You have a wealth of experience in this area. But as you know, things are changing all the time. So if you could, let's start with, what did it look like at the beginning when you first got into real estate investing? And how much different is it now, 15, 20 years later?
Yeah, real estate always changes. It doesn't matter what strategy it is, it's always changing. And I always say, people always say, well, is now a good time to invest? And I think you're asking the wrong question. Really, you have to look at the asset class in general. Is the asset class, for example, going to get you to where you want to go? Is it going to produce cash flow, financial freedom, wealth? What's the investment going to do with regards to taxes? How recession resistant is it? And if the answer is yes, the asset class is good, then you figure out how to get into it. And because the market changes, your underwriting and your analysis always changes, right? So, market is always different. Now you're going to underwrite higher interest rates than you did, say, 2.5 years ago. Well, boo-hoo. So now what? Then you underwrite a higher interest rate.
Right.
Who cares if it's not, 4% like it was, and it's more like 7%. You just underwrite at a different level. And that's really the secret to getting in. And so, to me, people trying to time the market, it's really more about how do you get into the market and adjusting your tactics. So my gosh, I got started investing in real estate in 2000, I think 6 or 7 is when I flipped my first houses.
Yeah.
First experience with the market there was 2008. Luckily, I sold my first of my 2 flips literally in September of 2007. And I think it already, the
Good timing.
On August 31st, days on market started going up. So I got rid of it just in time. That was my first exposure to the market and the market ups and downs. But like I said, then you go through other things, you go through COVID or rapid rise in interest rates, and you see how the market shifts. And I go back to my first point, is you just have to simply adapt, and you have to look for opportunities. And there's always opportunities, especially like now, especially in markets that maybe aren't as conducive, there's opportunity.
You're an expert on financial freedom, but I've always said that I don't think people are chasing financial freedom. They're chasing time freedom. And that's what you're saying with house flipping. There's only so much you can roll the snowball. It's not getting you all the way there, because you have to keep working and working and working, or you have to manage a manager or hire more crews. You can get you have 7 flips going at a time, but now you have to deal with 7 crews, or you have to hire someone to deal with 7 crews, as opposed to having building management in something larger scale.
Let's see, in my mind, they were the same. In my mind, financial freedom equaled real estate investing, which obviously equaled house flipping.
Yeah.
That's, you read the Purple Book and you're like, that's
I think people still think like that. Yeah.
But I'm telling you from personal experience and talking to dozens of people, and at the same exact experience. Most everybody starts off in single families. Maybe they'll flip, then they turn to rentals, and then they scratch their head like I did, and then they buy the first apartment building, and it's within a year, they're done. They're like, I'm covering my living expenses,
Right.
So this is why I wear the shirt. It says freedom on it, because if you have real estate on the brain, this is, in my opinion, the only way you can actually become financially free. And the cool thing is, you can do it very quickly. And a lot of people, most people, within a year, they literally quit their job and they become full-time investors. That's mind-blowing.
Yeah, that's why I love the shirt, because I love freedom as itself, because I think for each person, it's a little bit different. How much money I need to be financially free might be different than somebody else. Depends where you live, depends on your background, depends on what things you like to buy. But it's really a mindset of, how am I going to get there? And then what am I going to do when I get there? Because I don't think any of it, maybe some of us want to go sip Mai Tais on a beach, but that's not my jam. I'm old and I still like doing the stuff.
You want to be productive, right? And so the truth is that when people become full-time, they actually work harder than they did before. And the difference is, though, is they work on their own terms and they're actually building wealth for themselves. And that's a big difference.
Yeah.
But, I wanted to bring up one of the things about why the apartments are such a powerful vehicle. And you don't really talk about it. We talk about passive income a lot, But the reason that people can quit their jobs so quickly is because of acquisition fees, right? These acquisition fees in a syndication, when you put the deal together, you raise capital and you put a property manager in place and you close on it, the general partners pay themselves typically 3% of the purchase price. So let's say you do a $4 million building, you pay yourself $120,000 at closing. That's all. And let's say there's two partners. In most syndications, there's typically two partners. So every partner gets 60 grand just from the acquisition fee. Now, let's say the market rate is $10,000 per month. Now you have a 6-month window. And let's say you have another 60 saved up, right? Yeah. Now you have a 1-year runway. And that's why most people, after their first deal, quit their jobs. I'm not very smart, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but then what they do is they compensate by bringing in other people. I mean, look at anyone who's accomplished really anything in life. And they only do it through and with other people, right? Because in their mind, and maybe rightly so, they're not as smart, they don't have these skills and talents. But what they do very well, because they're humble, that they know they can only do something with the help of others. And that's, for me, it used to be very, very difficult, but that holds a lot of people back from really scaling their real estate portfolio.
Yeah, I think scale is the hardest thing to do, of course, without anyone, because how can you grow big? You just can't, you don't have enough time in the day. You know, you get to 10, 20 units or 10, 20 flips. You just can't manage all that. You're going to have no family life. Everyone's going to hate you because you're not, doing everything. And I think that's really the pothole, because don't you think that, again, this is like new person mentality for flips versus, hey, large scale multifamily. They get into it while they still have a job and they're like, well, this is going well. And then they realize that now they have 2 jobs that are both 9 to 5 and one's actually not. It's 5 to 9 the other way. Like you can't get away from it. When someone says like, I really, like you thought, hey, flipping's going to be passive income. Or I thought when I was younger, hey, having rental seems passive. Like, that's not passive, man. It's not passive if you're getting a call on Christmas Eve to go, a heater broke in a house. That sucks.
Yeah. I think a matter of scale is important. What I like about apartments, like you can typically only buy one at a time. Okay. And it's a lot of work to close on a deal. And then you put your property manager in there and, for the first 90 days, it's pretty heavy, right? So so this 3 months, 2 months leading up and then 3 months leading, you're pretty busy. Now, so if you look at it from that perspective, you can maybe do 2 deals relatively comfortable. Once it quiets down, it's pretty stable, the plate is spinning, you can now go find another deal, right? Meanwhile, it's being professionally managed by a property manager. Yeah. Now what I do is I can layer one property over another, and I'm not just doing it one house at a time, generating $200 per month in flow, right? These things are generating tens of thousands of dollars of cash flow. So I don't need to do a whole lot. But like you said earlier, the people who become full-time investors, they actually don't work less. It's actually a little bit the other way around. But no, every time you're doing a deal, you're adding $2,500, $500, $5,000, $10,000 of cash flow to your, and this is where you can really, really build wealth. And to me, that's amazing, because at the end of the day, I'm really doing about the same work as I was doing for the flips. Yeah. The big difference is I actually have professionals doing most of the heavy lifting.
Right. Yeah. I think that the easiest way for anyone to see it is if you get the rent up, say you buy one rental property and you get the rent up by 10% on one rental property, great. You got the rent up by 10%. You're making an extra, like whatever, $100, so $1,200 a year. If you get the rent up 10% across 200 units, you just increase the value of the entire portfolio by like $2 million. It's crazy. That scale. I know you have an apartments advisory here at apartments101.co. Tell us about that. It's a masterclass that I know leads into a mentorship, right?
Yeah, it's really kind of introduces people into the world of multifamily investing from a single family house investing background, which I had and most people do, right? Most people get started single family house investing and then have trouble scaling and they go scratch their head. So if you're in that moment right now, if you've maybe done a flip or rental, then check out Apartments 101. It's apartments101.co, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
I think it's only like probably 45 minutes long. And you're going to learn a lot. And it is an invitation to work with us, someone more experienced. But even if you don't, you're going to learn a lot about it. It gives you a lot to think about.